Hello, I'm David Bianco. Welcome back and thanks for joining me. So the MOFI scandal has been going on a few weeks now, as we all know, and some people have said, well, I'm putting this to bed, it's over, I don't want to talk anymore about it, but things just keep on rolling. And as this weekend has gone on and I've seen a few things come up, it finally dawned on me what really needs to be said about this. And that's coming up next here on the Sound of Safe and Sound Texas. Well, just as living proof that this is a very live, living, breathing story, there was a discussion today on Mike Esposito's live chat on YouTube where he happened to throw out the fact that there's already legal action on this. And so I did some investigation and was pointed towards some documents and then was able to pull them down. So a couple of guys in the Seattle, Washington area have done a class action complaint and a jury trial demand against Music Direct / MOFI and its other names, Audiophile Music Direct Inc., doing business as Music Direct, Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab, and or MOFI. So that's there. I did notice that in this document, any actions or repercussions back for a customer would mean that they would be someone who had purchased the product through one of those names. So according to this suit, at least, if they bought it through, let's say, Mike at the In Groove, technically they wouldn't have a standing in this case. Now, they can amend this case from what I read, so that may change, but that's kind of what it's about. So it kind of goes through and mentions the parties that are involved, two gentlemen. I'm not going to name them here. And they had purchased quite a bit of product apparently from Music Direct in this case, and wrongful representation of AAA, meaning all analog, as they call it, in the mastering chain. They use that term in here, mastering chain, which I don't believe I ever really heard MOFI ever use that term before all this happened, and I don't know that they were the ones using it. But anyway, but it talks about the people that buy these generally believe that analog recordings have the entire dynamic range of sound, whereas digital recording limits or compresses the signal in a way that limits dynamic range. And also there's a certain amount of emotional and tactile response to the handling and playing of vinyl records. And that, Music Direct had made numerous representations to its target audience of audiophiles that tout its analog record as being totally reproduced in an analog format. And it talks about the fact that they even represented that in the banner saying original master recording. They show an example of, ironically, in this case, an SACD that says that. They have a picture of the Doobie Brothers, the Captain and Me, in their complainant document. They also have evidence of the staff, production staff of Music Direct making statements. Sean R. Britton specifically, people ask us if it's an all analog mastering chain. It is, he says, at the 1 minute 41 second mark of a YouTube video that's out there. I think most of us have seen that. Then goes in and links up some specific YouTube videos. Mike, I can see one here I know is Mike Esposito's first one that he did. Another one's called Did Mobile Fidelity Lie? And then one is called MOFI is Digital. I think those are the three that I see. It shows a copy of Jim Davis's blurb, once this all happened, what statement was released, and the allegations, of course, that are in there. They had unjust enrichment over this, and that they're looking for a Washington state class to be defined here, and then a national class of those who have been wronged by this situation. So looking at it, they're kind of demanding that there be a trial on this, a jury trial, and that the judge take this through, that it has merits. and that they look for some remuneration based on the fact that they believe the Consumer Protection Act protects them in this, especially in Washington State, and then a breach of contract for a national claim where the products were not offered in good faith kind of situation. So they also have another count about unjust enrichment on the national case. Another count is the breach of Illinois consumer fraud law on the National Class Act. And then prayer for relief is in here, of course, and a demand for a jury trial. So I think they've got 21 days to respond, being MOFI, and I think they were issued this on the 4th of August. This complaint was on the 2nd of August was put in. So that's the latest. We don't know where this will go, obviously, but just to give you a little bit of detail, that's kind of the nature of what it says at this point. So it is real, and we'll just have to see where this goes. And I'm sure the first case of it will be somewhat of a test case. Reading this, frankly, it was, I think, hastily put together. There's some aspects of this I probably would have added some things to. Some of the information is not historical enough, in my opinion, to give the idea of why some of the beliefs are the way they are and these kind of things if I were going to put a case together. But it is what it is. Again, I'm really looking to see that this really isn't something that ends MOFI's ability to provide product to us, because I think at the end of the day, it's good product. I'm thinking the old Rodney King thing, can't we all just get along? I guess sometimes we can't. And it's a little raw right now, obviously. So anyway, just wanted to give you that update because I just literally looked through these documents in the last half an hour. So anyway, that's where things stand from that perspective. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me. So the last video I had, episode 33, was about the Washington Post story coming out, and subsequently that writer, Geoff Edgars, was interviewed by Audiophile 45 RPM Michael Ludwig out of Germany, early Sunday morning U.S. time, and watched that. And then Mike Esposito from the In-Groove had an in-depth live chat on YouTube for 3+ hours today. Caught most of that. And I began to think as I finished watching that, and then I saw Mazzy's video about the poetry aspect of this, which I thought was a really quite classic. Great job on that. I thought about this, and I thought, this reminds me of back in high school. I had to do a thesis, and I couldn't figure out what to do the thesis on. And I finally, it was at the time that the ELO's El Dorado album was out, which ironically MOFI has a super vinyl of that they released earlier this year, which is excellent, I might add, which is involving DSD, but it's great. All things kind of come full circle, I guess. So I did a thesis on the kind of the concept album of what that and what it was about, and the journey that was going on in the writing that Jeff Lynne did. And I thought, you don't hear the word thesis anymore that much, unless I guess you're in academia. But I thought, this really has a thesis kind of a theme to me. I'm thinking, so I went and looked, hey, what does thesis even mean? And I got 3 definitions here. It says it's a proposition that is maintained by an argument. Well, we certainly had a proposition come across here with this whole thing when it started, an argument that this could very well be happening. And then we have the second part of the definition, which is a hypothetical proposition, especially one put forth without proof. Wow. Wow, that sounds like a lot of the argument that was going on with Michael Fremer about rumors and innuendos, and he even threw a few at me in one of my videos in the comments. And then the final definition says a dissertation advancing an original point of view as a result of research. Wow. Point 3 is like, well, where we're at. The research, the original point of view is being brought to bear here based on the inquiry that Mike Esposito did and the tenacity that he had. and the activities that followed with John Wood inviting him. It all just has, just kind of, it kind of just flowed kind of almost the way it needed to in some ways. I think this maybe wouldn't, I don't know how it could have really come out differently, because I think honestly it needed that raw kind of truth and that everyman kind of thing. I think that Mike had, Esposito had, I think it really needed that. I used the term in a previous video, it didn't get schmoozed. And I think there was some people that said they thought that Mike Esposito got schmoozed by them. But he was there to crack that door open, to get that light to be shown. And that is what he did. And to that end, he accomplished that. All of the others, he should have done this is, or he should have asked this is, I think we all could say that. But at the end of the day, it really cracked open wide what we needed to. So now that we are where we are, we have this, I think, okay, so here's two things that strike me. One, did MOFI know this in advance, in the sense that they knew it would be a problem if they came out with it and they chose not to? That's one scenario. Another scenario is that they just advanced their technology and were so confident and proud of it, but not willing to say that, I might add, that they just kind of rolled with the punches and let it go and just said, hey, everything sounds great. The audiophiles think it sounds great. I mean, what is there to say? I mean, we don't need to get into the minutia. We don't need to let everybody into the kitchen and know what's in the secret sauce. We're just going to keep making great records, which they do, and they did. So I don't know what the answer to that is. None of us really know what the answer to that is. I mean, the fact that it took them so long to come out with this and talk about it, was that, just not getting it, being kind of stuck in their own technology world and thinking, oh, there's just no big deal, everything's great? Was it a lack of finesse at a business level, a lack of public relations capability? We certainly saw, if you see the video, which I'll link, that was done by Michael Ludwig with the writer of the article from the Washington Post. I mean, he had talked to a PR firm that had worked with MOFI, and the PR firm had to kind of say, hey, you guys don't want to have an interview. You don't want to talk to anybody. This really isn't going to be the best approach. You really need to deal with this head on. And then reluctantly, I guess I would say, and those are my words, the head of Mobile Fidelity and Music Direct decided to talk with the person from the Washington Post. And so, I don't know, but instinctually, we know that it didn't really come off as cleanly and as easily as we would have liked. But we are where we are. The article has come out. The writer has discussed it further. So the issue is, where do we go now? You either like what they provide and they sell, or you don't. You're either going to buy it or you aren't. Mike Esposito said, yeah, he had pre-order cancellations, but he also had people who weren't buying them before ordering them, which was even a greater amount. So, yeah, balance of scale, who knows what it's going to end up being. But at the end of the day, I think we don't want harm to come to MOFI. I think that's the thing that, as I think about it now and I sit back and take it all in, as much as we can have righteous indignation, which I do toward the fact that it was not shared, and again, I don't know if that was on purpose or not. If there's litigious activities going on out there, which Mike Esposito indicated are public knowledge, that I guess a class action lawsuit has begun, that's not going to be good. And that's really a concern for me as a consumer, and as somebody who has watched Mobile Fidelity since 77, 78 come up through the market. So we've got to hope that doesn't take them down. That's for sure. But the irony of this is, I thought about the word audiophile. Well, what is audiophile? It says it's a person who's enthusiastic about high fidelity sound reproduction. Okay, that's the definition that's out there. They really seek to get the reproduction to the sound of what a live musical performance would be, typically in a room with good acoustics is the definition. And it says it's widely agreed that reaching that goal is very difficult, and that even the best regarded recording and playback systems rarely, if ever, achieve it. So it's kind of a, it's a high bar, right? That's where the audiophile is going. I don't really like labels. I'm not an audiophile. Certainly from a equipment standpoint, I'm not an audiophile. I think I'm a discerning listener. I don't claim that I can tell digital from analog. I do know that I can tell a good recording from a poor one. But I also believe that, what's ended up happening here, ironically, is the audiophile, PHILE, has kind of been supplanted by the audiophile, FILE, the digital file. So audiophile is now something different than it ever was. And I thought about that because I'm thinking, yeah, I have computers. I've had them for years. I have audio files on there. I have audio files. Oh, yeah. Whether they're FLAC or whether they're DSDs or whether they're MP3, they're audio files. And now we've gotten to such a high grade capability of this DSD 256 audio file that has it now met being audio file, PHILE. It's kind of interesting the way those words kind of came together in my mind. So let's see what happens. I think we should all hope for the best from a consumer standpoint. We hope that they could keep making great product and that they can focus on that. I think being distracted would not be a good thing. I think they put their head down and came out with a really good product. I think they recognize that tape has limitations. Tape has life that is going in the wrong direction as it gets older. And I think they protected that for us, the consumer. Now, the fact that they weren't upfront about it, hey, to me, you should have been proud of that. I mean, you really should have said, hey, look, this is where things are at. Educate the public. Let them know, hey, this is the direction we need to go. We're talking pretty much equation here with the tape. So unfortunately, that ship has sailed. That opportunity is long gone. We are where we are. Putting the data on the website is great, and I appreciate that. So has the audio file now, the DSD file, replaced and now come to meet the audio file? Let's see. As always, thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here. If you would subscribe to the channel, it really means a lot to me, and I appreciate that if you can. Like this video if you do, and comments are always welcome. So for now, I'll say thank you for watching The Sound of Safe and Sound Texas. Goodbye, everybody.